One of the great gifts of my early military career is when you're at a team, at a SEAL team, or any command in the United States Navy, the leadership team of the United States Navy of every command they call the basically the trifecta, or the top three of the team, which is the commanding officer, the executive officer, those are both officers, then the command master chief, that's the senior enlisted, that is that advisor and leader within that triad of leadership. The commanding officer is like the CEO of your company. And the first two commanding officers I worked for were equally the best officer I worked for in my entire career and the worst officer I worked for in my entire career. I'll take very little time to talk about the worst officer. I'd like to focus on the best, but it was a tremendous gift early in my career to have those two examples of basically who I want to be in my officer life, in my leadership life, in my team life, and who I don't want to be. And so remember, as you go through the peaks and valleys of your career and your life, you're going to have people that are great in your life, mentors, examples, and guides and real lights that can shine the way on who you want to be and what you want to be, and grab onto those and hold on tight. But don't deny, or in some ways almost disrespect, how valuable the tough, bad, negative people are in your life. You want them out of your life, but there will be a season from which you can pull and harvest from what they show you things that you don't want to be, and that's a gift as well. So I want to focus on the great man amongst those two leaders, and my teammates and I, brand new guys. When you show up at a SEAL team, you're called an FNG. New guys, the second half of the acronym. I'll let you take a swing at what the F stands for, but it's actually a term of endearment. But that's your family. That's who you start this adventure with. And that group of new guys and I, we kind of nicknamed or gave the moniker to this commanding officer, Father War. Which, I mean, if I knew I was called Father War somewhere later in my life, I'd feel pretty happy about my time in the military, the impact I have. And we'll tell more stories in this arena about him. But one that blew my mind is I was at my first team, for almost 6 months, and we worked out as a team. So the most junior person of the team to the commanding officer, Father War, did workouts every day. Monday through Friday, we did a PT, physical training. Could be a 2-mile ocean swim, no matter the temp. Could be a 10-mile run plus, pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, obstacle courses, all the different things we do to stay in shape and keep the knife sharp and ready for war. I was 6 months at the command before I realized Father War was only running, swimming, and competing on one leg. He had lost his leg from the knee down in a parachuting accident. And here we are doing all these workouts and PTs, and I'm unaware of it. And this is not a young man. He was getting late in his career and had spent tremendous time in the military. He was a Marine officer, came over to the Navy side and became a SEAL officer. And so think of the character, kind of the personality of a person that could be on runs, swims, PTs, on one leg, and you weren't already aware of it, or aware of it as you're going through it. Just a special guy. But I remember at one point, one of my junior officers, and he'll remember this well if he's watching this, but he and I were walking past the hallway, down the hallway where the commanding officer's office is, and that's scary ground. That's like a minefield. There's all kinds of leaders there that could grab you, get you in trouble, put you into something you don't want to deal with. So you sort of scoot through those corridors pretty quick. Father War was known to have his door always open. He was one of those leaders that if you had an issue, if you had something that you need to bring to him, he didn't have his door closed or his back to the door. He was there for you. Truly, he was there to serve. And I remember as we're walking by, and he's like, "Hey, Denver," and I won't call out the other guy's name, but get in here. And so we're excited and also nervous at the same time. He almost always had nuggets, but you knew you were going to be up against it as far as him teaching as well. But we sit down on his couch and we start talking about just general things we're learning, becoming new young officers within that community. As we're talking, the phone rings and he says, "Look, I hate interrupting a conversation with a phone call. I am expecting one. Let me take this call." And he takes the call. As I understand or inferred from the conversation, it was one of the technical advisors or one of the designers of one of the prosthetic legs he would use during runs and swims. You can imagine a Navy SEAL commander that's going to be out in austere and rough environments would be a tremendous test dummy, or someone to use to beta test and suss out if the carbon fiber and whatever you're putting into that piece of technology in the leg would perform at a high level under intense duress. And so he's talking to them, and I remember within like 30 seconds of the conversation, he's like, no, that new one you sent me, it broke in 2 days. And he actually put it on speaker so we could hear the conversation, and the designer's like, that's impossible. He's like, well, impossible or not, it's broken. I'm looking at it right now. We look over, and there's a broken prosthetic leg on the ground. And the tech is like, no, this stuff is made of like carbon fiber and aircraft aluminum. You could run a semi truck over that thing and it wouldn't break. He said, nonetheless, it broke on about the second day of us doing workouts. And as he was talking to this designer, something hit me that I've never forgot. And it makes me emotional thinking about it. But I was like, here's this engineer, probably sharp as a whip, went to MIT, knows more about the manipulation of math and physics and dynamics that would impart energy on a system or on a product that they designed that couldn't be broken. And the one category he couldn't account for, he couldn't calculate, is human energy. It's the energy inside us. It's that divine spark that lives, that gives you power, that gives a mother the ability to throw a car, off a kid to save him, or to fight a lion, or to do whatever you need to do to rush across the battlefield and give your best when it counts. He couldn't account for that human energy, and it just always made me think of how much we have inside, what we enjoy as a human in this magic vessel that we inhabit, and that technology might help it, might advance it, but it still can't account for the energy that's inside of you. Don't forget that's what you're made of.